Item 8.3, Karen may need a second. That's her as well.
Yes. Some council have expressed interest in our programming on ETV beyond what we do currently. And so staff realized that while we have seen the mission of ETV as being to facilitate open and transparent government and disseminate information to the public related to the city's mission and objectives, that there's not been any priorities established that would guide staff in terms of what programming would take priority. So this item is to request that the council set those priorities as follows. One, the first priority would be city council and related legislative and or advisory body meetings, this, as well as city-sponsored events, coverage of city-sponsored events, and city-generated public information announcements. And that the second priority, which is dependent upon city resources, is to produce original programming, such as videos regarding public safety or interviews with city officials on important community issues. This is in addition to what we just televised. So, for example, the annual State of the City is not what I call the original programming. It's just broadcasting something, taping something already is happening. But there is the opportunity to do some original programming. And the third priority would be public service announcements and information from other public agencies. In addition, some council members had expressed some interest in televising regional bodies, essentially televising meetings from bodies other than the City Council. And what we found was that not all of them are available, easily available by DVD, which we would need to be able to load to our system. And so what we saw as being an alternative is as we refresh, as we do our website refresh that we're in the middle of right now, that we could have a page of regional bodies with links to their website, some of whom have video access throughout there, from there, and some just do audio at this point. And that would be an easy way for the public to be able to access those meetings rather than having to look at each website individually to find them. And that concludes my report. Oh, I'm sorry. Also attached to this report is a schedule of our current ETV schedule. This schedule is provided on ETV in between programs as well as when the system reboots at midnight. We also now have it on our website so it can be accessed through there as well. And if you see those places where it says special programming, those are the places that we have reserved for additional programming than just city council related meetings. If you notice, the schedule seems to be somewhat blank. We could increase some of the scheduling, but one of the issues that we have is we have to schedule meetings to kind of be able to contain the longest meeting of that type. So for example, for the city council, it could be an hour meeting, it could be a 4-hour meeting. We schedule it every 4 hours just so that there's the opportunity for the whole council to, to go. And if it is short, then that's another place that we will put in special programming. So we do more special programming than just this, but a lot of the other what looks like blank it's because of having definite times for the different meetings that we need to space them to kind of accommodate the longest time that they are likely to be. Yes.
So I have a question. I think that's great, that updating with our website refresh to have links to these other meetings. But I'm also wondering if, first of all, do these other agencies charge for their DVDs for their meetings? Their cost to us?
What we were finding, it was the difficulty of getting them in a timely, is whether they even provided them as opposed to just providing links. And so I have an intern who actually is still working on what is available, but kind of our initial thing was it was just easier to provide a link than to try to, on a regular basis, get DVDs from agencies that in most cases, see that providing access through a website link or a YouTube link is serving the purpose of a DVD, so they're not really, not too many agencies are really doing that anymore for that reason.
Because I'm wondering if other cities have cross-programming from like regional boards and things, or if it's all just their city meetings, right? Like, for instance, does Oakland or Berkeley air meetings on their channels if they have
I think
them?
some of the cities that have multiple government access channels do that, but with only our one, if you look at our schedule and you think of the length of time we have to set aside for, let's say, a planning commission, we really don't have that much in our schedule for what I would call regularly scheduled fixed meeting times. Because, for example, if we were going to show BART meetings, we would have to schedule kind of the longest time that a BART meeting might be and plug that into our weekly schedule. So we don't really have that much real estate to do it that way, and it was felt that it was more efficient to do the links, and then that way you can see them kind of any time that you want easily, and you can also refer to their archive meetings as well.
I will say for Oakland, I think they have two channels. One is the school district, and then one is just the city channel. And I am not aware that they have run other regional meetings through there. It's pretty packed with their own city meetings. And then what they do, and we're looking into, is there's some original programming that I think Comcast produces. It's local programming, and it's more regional. And they'll run those kind of during some of the gap times. So we're looking at, possibly putting some of that in there as well.
All right.
So can I ask a follow-up question, since I haven't watched ETV? What's happening in between the meetings then? My kids watched it once. It's just like it might have a flyer about what's coming up at Doyle Hollis Park and some little music or something going with, and that'll go for 2 hours or so until the next thing comes on, if there's that much time to fill.
It could be a copy of the schedule. It could be a public service announcement, such as a committee vacancy or a public works construction project. It could be a PSA from another agency, or it could be another, if it's something short, it could be something like the 48th Street Community Garden, if we've got a video. So Second Sight kind of tries to slot as many additional programs as possible in between, particularly since, we might have the council scheduled to take 3.5 hours, but it doesn't necessarily take 3.5 hours, and so there is that ability to fill in with additional programming.
Okay. And then at Stop Waste, we saw some videos recently that were produced by Stop Waste that were public service announcements, and they were only maybe 4 minutes long, and there were a series of 4 or 5 of them. That's the kind of thing, we don't have videos of Stop Waste meetings, it's audio, so it wouldn't make sense to have it on TV. But I thought those kind of videos might be available on DVD if that's what we need. And then at some point, I hope we don't need DVDs, because as you're saying, it's becoming obsolete, and if we're relying on DVDs, we're missing out on some other opportunities. So I don't see providing a link on our website as the same thing as doing ETV, because I think people happen upon ETV and you have to go seek out a link, and actively pursue it. But it seems that people stumble upon ETV and watch something. Is there anything wrong with showing not quite complete meetings? Like showing, if it gets cut off, if there's a regular programming, you have 2 hours to fill and the meeting is 2 hours and 15 minutes. Do you not show a meeting? Is that a problem?
That would be a problem to me.
You think that would be a problem? Okay.
You want to see the conclusion.
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah.
Unless you're just watching 15 minutes.
Well, just like a movie, or the Giants scores. The Giants are up 7-0 right now in the 7th inning, but who?
7-1.
So in my opinion, I think it's important to fill the time the best we can to make the most of the programming, and to have a predictable schedule. So and those are two incongruous things, and so doing the best with that.
Did you have a comment?
Yeah, I do have a comment. First off, I think I appreciate the work that went into establishing the priorities. I think that's important. But I have a real question about putting on, say, ABAG meetings or MTC meetings. there's something a little off here. If anyone is really interested in MTC or ABAG or waste management, they can probably go on their website and get something streaming. For us to, the thing that caught my eye on this, of course, was the fiscal impact. The more we complicate ETV, that suggests that we are going to hire an additional person to take care of this. I think we want to think long and hard before we increase city staff. So I would have some real questions about that. It seems to me that there's an attempt here to create a need that has not come forward from the people of this city. I have yet to have anybody, actually, I have yet to have anybody say they really want to watch the city council meeting or the planning commission, but to think about ABAG or MTC or any of these other regional boards, let's get real here. Let's spend our money where it most benefits the people in this town. And I have a question.
I agree with you. I don't see MTC or ABAG on here at all.
Absolutely not.
So I agree. The video I talked about, the 4 minutes, it was like how to sheet mulch your lawn, how to recycle with compost. It was very much very tangible.
PSAs are a different thing, but
I agree.
meetings, come on, guys.
But when we're talking about the further meetings on the website, it's just a link outwards to find out more, right?
I have no problems with it.
We're not talking about putting it on ETV. We're talking about just putting it on the website. That if you want to go view a meeting for these other agencies, here's where you go.
You're creating something without having a real a request from the people of the city, and you're adding on an expense, and who knows whether it will, really satisfy anything. I think we should think a long time about this before we add complexity to it, although I'm highly in favor of the PSAs.
I would be fine having the website links up to other agencies. I don't think that's
It's a one-time shot.
problem.
It's
Doesn't take staff time.
No.
Yeah.
Once it's done, it's done.
Does staff have enough direction?
It won't cost a lot of money, Nora.
Guys, come on. We got to save our money for the big
We have
a
a
couple
free
cups
intern.
of coffee at Pete's, and that's all it's going to be.
There's a public comment. Is that okay?
Oh, is there? Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Do you want to talk about Pete's Coffee?
That'd be wonderful. That'd be wonderful right now, actually. Hello, I'm Bobby, Bay Street resident. I didn't know this was on the agenda. I have a little bit of background in public access and media as well. Worked with the folks down in Mountain View and San Mateo public access, and been following a lot of what's been going on in Tri-Valley, Sarah, Pleasanton, Livermore. If you're talking about original programming, there's actually a great opportunity here for jobs training for youth.
Yes.
When you talk about original programming, you can there's many things you can do. You can out in the Tri-Valley, they've done actual daily news programs that are full-on production. That does take staff, and that does take reporters and so on. You can have just a high school student reading community updates on camera, and I can tell you that gives a great boost to self-esteem for them. You can have PSAs that are produced by Emeryville students and giving them video editing training, giving them training on how to use a camera. We have a lot of production companies here in Emeryville and Berkeley, including Hoff Productions, which does a lot of shows for example, Shark Week for its Discovery Channel. So there's an opportunity here to, if you guys do want to explore original programming, to involve the production community that is here in this area, to provide jobs training, to provide skills training to the youth around here, and also as a byproduct, fill up the blank parts of the programming schedule here. So I really, I would hope, I know maybe the discussion hasn't been taken in this direction yet, but I really hope that if this type of original programming is desired, that you would consider the benefits of doing something like that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I think of Expression College, and we had a great video that was done by them for the city manager's State of the Union or a different report, I guess it was. And it's really valuable to see what the community thinks of the community. Rather than
And it can be very minimal cost as well. It doesn't have to involve a whole full-time person per se. Yeah.
Thank you. Great.
Anyone else?
Hi, Diane Martinez, Triangle, neighborhood resident. I was actually just wanted to make sure that Expression Arts College wasn't forgotten in this conversation, because I went to a public school in Southern California in the San Fernando Valley, and we actually had majors at this school, and I was a video production major. So a lot can be done with very little money, and I expect with Expression College that they've got the equipment and they've got people who would love to have a venue for their videos. So I did see that video, it was some 6 or 7 months ago, where the students presented their version of Emeryville, and I think many more students would love to have that opportunity, and I think it would be a great way for people to stay on that channel when they did click by. It's not quite Shark Week. We don't quite have sharks in Emeryville, but I think our youth have a lot of compelling ideas that you could see on the internet, but I think they would love to be on television. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, staff has enough direction on that item. Okay, let's move on.